Hello, this is Alexander Green, Chief Investment Strategist of the Oxford Club. And today I want to talk about four factors that are driving this market higher. The first is that COVID-19 is not nearly as lethal as we thought it was when it first came out of China. At the time, scientists and researchers told us that the morbidity rate was 5%, meaning there's a 1 in 20 chance if you got the coronavirus, you were going to die. So you can understand why people went into an immediate panic. We now know that the true lethality of COVID-19 is not even 1/10 of that. It's less than 1/2 of 1%. Still dangerous, but the people who are most vulnerable are the elderly and those with pre-existing conditions, and especially elderly people who have pre-existing conditions. And the risk is primarily to them. There certainly are other people and people with other situations who have died from COVID-19, and any death is to be regretted. But overall, it's not as lethal as we thought initially. Second, of course, is we have unprecedented fiscal stimulus. The U.S. government is spending close to $6 trillion to fight this pandemic. And the central bank has offered essentially limitless liquidity, getting loans to small businesses and the CARE Act to individuals, and even buying assets like bonds to help support the financial markets and provide liquidity. And that's been a huge plus. And of course, many states are now reopening, and we're seeing that there's not been some immediate spike in the coronavirus deaths as a result of the reopening. So those are going relatively well. But one of the factors, which is still hotly debated, is, and I've been writing about this, is that we're going to get a coronavirus vaccine sooner than most people expect, sooner even than the experts expect. Now, it might seem crazy to say, how could I possibly know more than the experts? And I'm not claiming that I do, but certainly the market, which reflects the opinions of tens of millions of knowledgeable people, not just casting a vote, but risking their money, they are essentially saying that the vaccine is going to be here sooner rather than later, perhaps even this year. Earlier this year, I recommended shares of Moderna in my trading service called the Insider Alert, based in part on a 7-figure buy by one of the company's insiders. And we ended up locking in 190% gain in the stock, as well as gains of 126%, 332%, and even 955% in a related call. And part of it is due to the fact that the company insists that it will have a vaccine available by this fall for emergency authorization. And when experts say that simply isn't possible, what they probably don't know is that this particular vaccine is based on messenger RNA. And my good friend Ron Bailey, who's the science correspondent for Reason Magazine, wrote this recently. He said that ordinarily with conventional vaccines, they're finicky to make, and you have to learn how to grow the viruses in eggs of cells and then purify and weaken them so they don't cause infection when they're injected. And then it takes years to scale up to millions of doses. But messenger RNA is different. They're faster, cheaper, and safer to produce than conventional vaccines. And that's exactly what Moderna is working on. In the phase 1 trials, all 8 human subjects developed antibodies against the coronavirus. And they're in phase 2 now, and there have been minimal side effects, and it looks very likely we're going to get that vaccine this year. It will not be widely distributed to next year, but there are over 100 other companies also working on vaccines. And I think that that's part of the optimism of investors, and the reason for the rise in the market is we are going to be able to get back to normal sooner than most people expect, and that's going to be a very good thing indeed. So to learn more about the insider strategy I used to identify Moderna before its big run up, feel free to click on the link below where I have a conversation with Bill O'Reilly, former Fox host and best-selling author, about why riding the coattails of knowledgeable insiders is one of the very smartest investment strategies you can use. Until next time, this is Alexander Green. Thanks so much for listening.